Did you know some people are saying that classrooms as we know them might soon disappear? But is this really about enhancing education, or could it be a power move by tech giants who see big money in VR? Companies are pouring billions into this idea, and while some teachers are all for it, many parents and educators are concerned. Are we entrusting our children's minds to Silicon Valley in the name of progress? Or is VR genuinely the future of learning? 1. What is a VR classroom? Virtual reality. VR classrooms are immersive, digital environments where students can interact with educational content as if it were real. Unlike traditional learning, VR classrooms offer students 360-degree interactive experiences, where they can explore historical sites, perform scientific experiments, and even go on field trips to outer space, all from the comfort of their own homes. According to recent studies, students learn faster in VR classrooms, with retention rates as high as 75%, compared to traditional methods, which only achieve about 10 to 15%. Education innovators, like Oculus co-founder Palmer Luckey, have suggested that VR classrooms could be more effective in teaching skills faster and more thoroughly than ever before. 2. Are VR classrooms really more effective? The debate over VR's effectiveness is intensifying. Proponents argue that VR technology offers unrivaled engagement, making students feel more present and motivated to learn. During an interview, Vivek Sharma, an educational technology strategist, passionately stated, "VR will make traditional classrooms feel like relics." He believes that VR classrooms will foster deeper learning through hands-on interaction and visualization. Skeptics warn, however, that VR's immersive nature might blur reality, making it challenging for students to distinguish between virtual and real-world experiences. This divide has many educators and parents concerned. Are we pushing children too far into a digital-only world, potentially undermining their social skills? 3. The role of major tech players. Some rumors suggest that VR classrooms are driven more by profit than by educational progress. With tech giants like Facebook, now Meta, Google, and Apple racing to develop VR technology for schools, many question whether this educational shift is merely a profit-driven venture. For instance, Meta has invested heavily in Oculus for education, with the goal of integrating VR into K-12 learning. Critics argue that these companies are pushing VR into schools not to benefit students, but to hook future generations on their products. In an eyebrow-raising statement, a former Google executive remarked, "This is the new frontier for tech control. Getting VR into schools means shaping a whole generation's perceptions from day one." Is VR in classrooms genuinely about educational enrichment, or is it a veiled attempt to monopolize the minds of future consumers? 4. VR learning in action. In VR classrooms, students don't just read about history, they experience it. Imagine putting on a VR headset and suddenly standing in the middle of the Roman Colosseum, watching gladiators battle, or witnessing the signing of the Declaration of Independence. VR offers immersive storytelling, enabling students to feel part of the history they're learning. Thomas Young, a well-known history professor, expressed that VR classrooms bring history to life in ways textbooks simply cannot. Some parents, however, are skeptical, expressing concern that these virtual field trips lack the depth and emotional connection of real-life visits. Are students genuinely learning or just being dazzled by digital spectacles? 5th, VR classrooms and inclusivity. Supporters claim that VR classrooms could break barriers for students with disabilities, offering them experiences previously inaccessible in a traditional classroom. For instance, VR allows visually impaired students to explore textured virtual models, and students with mobility issues can travel to places that were once beyond reach. In a recent interview, accessibility advocate Sarah Hall noted, "VR classrooms have the potential to be the great equalizer in education. But here's the catch. VR hardware and software are costly, and many schools simply can't afford the technology. Critics argue that VR in classrooms could widen educational disparities, benefiting wealthier schools while leaving underfunded institutions even further behind. 6. Teacher roles. The role of teachers in VR classrooms is another point of contention. In VR, teachers act more like guides, helping students navigate virtual experiences rather than delivering traditional lectures. But are they at risk of becoming obsolete? AI-driven VR learning systems, such as Class VR and Engage, are already capable of offering personalized lesson plans, automated feedback, and AI-generated assessments. Could VR classrooms phase out teachers entirely, or will they instead provide tools that enhance teaching methods? This question stirs both fear and excitement across the educational community. 7. VR socialization, a myth or a new reality. One of the strongest criticisms of VR classrooms is that they could harm students' social skills. With students learning through headsets instead of in-person interaction, VR classrooms might encourage isolation rather than collaboration. While VR platforms offer multi-user experiences where students can meet classmates, it's simply not the same as real-life interaction. During a heated debate, child psychologist Dr. Maria Sanchez argued, "There's no substitute for face-to-face social learning. VR cannot replace human connection." However, VR advocates counter that these virtual experiences can teach digital collaboration, a critical skill in today's tech-driven world. Are VR classrooms preparing students for the future or leaving them disconnected? 8. Privacy and ethical concerns. Privacy issues surrounding VR classrooms are another cause for concern. With VR, every movement, gaze, and interaction by students can be tracked, raising serious privacy concerns. Critics fear that this data could be used to profile students or even influence future decisions regarding their education. Recently, a leaked memo from a VR company allegedly revealed plans to collect and analyze student data for educational insights. This sparked outrage among parents and privacy advocates who worry that these virtual classrooms might exploit children's data. If these allegations are true, the big question becomes, who controls this data and how is it being used? 9. Mental health impact. The impact of VR classrooms on students' mental health is another heated topic. While VR has shown potential benefits for students with anxiety by allowing them to engage in a less intimidating environment, it also raises concerns. Extended use of VR has been linked to side effects like eye strain, headaches, and even dissociation, where students feel detached from reality. Psychologists warn that prolonged VR use in young children could alter their sense of reality and affect emotional regulation. Dr. Liam Gray, a psychiatrist specializing in technology's impact on mental health, stated, "VR is uncharted territory for young minds. We simply don't know the long-term effects. Will VR improve mental health, or will it create a new set of psychological challenges for the next generation?" 10. The future of education. Will VR classrooms dominate? So, is VR the future of education, or just another overhyped technology? Some experts believe VR classrooms are just the beginning of an era where education becomes fully digital. Education futurist Amy Wen suggests, VR will only be a stepping stone. Eventually, we'll see AI-driven, adaptive learning environments that make even VR look primitive. Others insist that traditional methods, with real teachers and real classrooms, will always have a place. The jury's still out, but one thing's for sure. VR has sparked a controversial conversation about what education should look like in the 21st century. As VR classrooms continue to reshape the educational landscape, the big question remains: are we witnessing the dawn of a new learning era, or are we sacrificing too much in the name of technology? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of VR education, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on the latest educational trends. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.